It's been a long day. But yes, hello everyone. How's it going?
Where's my intro?
I'm about to fucking get it. All right, so like,
gotta get to it.
Hakuna your Tatas. All right. By the way, okay, here we go. Alright, there's our classic lovely intro.
I love that intro. I really it's like the best.
Listen, can't take me anywhere. It's fucking difficult, okay?
This is true.
I'm fucking difficult.
You break all the things. I know you break all the things.
I fix them too, because guys.
This is true, yeah.
Guys,
I also broke things, so...
Guys, I got super
equal
glue.
opportunity here.
It's not Gorilla Glue, but it's super glue and it does work.
So,
I got my Gorilla Glue.
today, I glue. Here we go. I got Elmer's plastic clear glue for some crappy stuff that I was doing that I didn't feel like burning my fingers. I burnt my fingers so bad rolling these stupid little flowers, which are gorgeous, with a hot glue gun that 2 weeks later, I still have an indent in my finger.
Oh god.
Okay, so this is what was happening. So I had the flowers in this hand, and I had my glue gun in this hand, and I was talking to my honey on Facebook, and then he said, like, oh yeah, look at this, and I wasn't paying attention, and I'm like, hot glue gun right on my finger, so it's all his fault. I don't care if you got me a new Tengu. I
definitely got some of my Gorilla Glue on my fingers, and I had to go get the nail polish remover.
See, I'm crazy. I'll literally be like, and
it's
just
like,
break it apart.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I used to do so much stuff with hot glue. I miss conventions. I miss going to anime conventions, cosplay.
I
and all
remember,
that.
we could do stuff.
I do.
What is this thing that you're talking about?
And go outside and see people.
Man, yeah, it's been a bit. It's
It's good to have you on the show though, because now you can interact with people.
Yes,
right?
welcome back. Welcome back, Uriel.
Thank you.
Yeah, Uriel's always been my my travel buddy sometimes.
Oh yeah. Listen, what was it? We just decided at the drop of the hat that we should all go to Amsterdam. And that was a good time.
Yeah, because he messaged me and he's like, if you go, I'll go. And I'm like,
and you're like, okay. And so yeah, we just figured out plans and we got there for the event. And it was a lot of fun. While we were there, we went to an awesome little it was called Cat Cabinet. And I mentioned this to Delana recently, but my friend showed me, those Ocean's 11 movies?
Oh, they're so good.
The second one, the beginning of that movie takes place in Amsterdam, and they filmed part of it at that Cat Cabinet place. And I was watching the movie, and I was like, this looks really familiar. I was like, is this the same place? And I looked it up, and yeah, it was. So,
wow.
Weird to recognize filming locations.
That's kind of like the last minuteness. That's how I ended up in Iceland for my very first fan fest in 2017. It was like last minute planning, and suddenly I was YOLOing
across
a plane
the Atlantic Ocean
to Iceland, where everything that could have gone wrong did.
Oh no.
Oh yeah.
Did you have a good time though?
I slept in my rental car the first night.
Oh fuck.
Everything that could have went bad. But I had a freaking blast, and it was that one which set the tone for the events that I now do for Eve, because it was for me. It was phenomenal. So when I was doing Eve North, I was picturing the harpa in my head and trying to figure out how they had stuff set up, and I'm like, I want this, and I want this, and I want this, and
it works for you, definitely.
Yeah.
I mean,
man, I miss the harpa.
Our Amsterdam trip, we barely missed our airline going out of business by 3 days.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah, let's see. When I was trying to check in on it was WoW Air. I love them. I love that. That's what I used every time I traveled. Yeah, Icelandic smaller airline is the other one.
And they had bright pink planes.
Yep. Nice, great purple color inside.
Yeah, but I heard that WoW Air was
on the way back.
Then they screwed you on
baggage. I couldn't
baggage.
sign in for my tickets online because their website was something was wrong because the place was going out of business. So I made it to the airport. They still got me on the plane and everything. And like the next day, they went bankrupt and like they got their plane. One of their planes got like repossessed somewhere in Canada, and like everything.
Well,
like,
the repossessed plane happened even before we left.
That was before. What? Oh my god!
Like they were already like they were spiraling. So like I had to like message somebody on Twitter with my Eve related account to be like, hey, is my flight
am I gonna be able to get home?
And then it's like my Eve character picture, you know, asking.
Oh my god.
Hey, somebody wanted to say hi.
Is that Sasha?
Oh, hi.
This is Ty, and he does not like this, but he wanted to jump up on my desk and mess with my stuff.
So now he's on video.
Look, we already got the cat cam nice and early.
Yeah, now he's complaining about it. Alright, that's what happens when you jump up on my computer. Alright, so we are here to actually talk about...
We're gonna talk nerdy to you. And that's why we got the lovely, wonderful Uriel.
We do, because Uriel has all like the super nerdy RP stuff, and we're like, we need the Uriel.
Because like the first time he was on, he like I learned so much about the trigs, and I forget a little bit of it, and I'm very sorry.
I mean, there's not much to catch up on. Not a lot
fair.
Of happening.
But like we're gonna talk about like way before that, like
like a broader sense of things.
Some of us know like this much about trigs, and brutally honest, when you were on the show last, it was one of the episodes I couldn't attend, so I wasn't. There. Like,
well, in this case, if there's anything anyone wants to ask about stuff, I can just go off on huge tangents about everything.
I want to talk about like the Eve Gate and everything, about like how we came to New Eden, and then like the collapse of the Eve Gate, but yet it's still there, but it's not really. And like I want to talk about all that shit.
I did the pilgrimage out there, and I'm not gonna lie, I wasn't super impressed. I was like,
I mean, it's a skybox effect. It's very pretty. I mean, the new one is really nice, at least.
If you want to do cool
will agree with that. Yeah.
And then the locals shoot you on your way out.
No,
my bird. Sorry, my bird is screaming.
I know the locals there. When will the blood god come to Eve? Wait, there's a blood god in Eve?
God.
What?
Oh, don't even get started on that crap.
Oh, I know. I'm just messing with that.
We already have the Blood Raiders. We don't need Korn also.
We also have Bob. You know, like
wormhole god.
Okay. So and I've read Templar 1. I actually read Templar 1 before Imperium Age, and I'm just like, no regrets. Templar
Imperium
1
Age
was
is not
amazing.
the greatest thing to read, but like the thing is,
it's tough.
So all three of the Tony Gonzalez big kind of connected works, you have, Imperium Age and you have Templar 1, but the first one in that sequence is actually one of the ones that's online, and that is Theodicy, and Theodicy, one word. It's a short story, and it's all about what happened leading up to the Jove fighting the Amar way back when they had a little battle, and the Amar didn't have such a good time. But it's actually, compared to the others, a lot shorter, easier to digest, and pretty fun. I think the one biggest problem I have with any of his stuff, as much as I do enjoy it, is that he's like really black and white about who's the good guys in Eve. It's like Amar bad no matter what.
We're the good guys. What are you talking about?
He has a very strong look at what's what. But like Templar 1 specifically, good book. Has got a lot of
absolutely stuff. Amazing.
Huge.
I'm gonna spoil the ending a little bit, like a little teaser, and like when I read that. By the way, Uriel, Mr. Unlucky would like an explanation after my little spiel
about the Pooh Bears.
Oh yes. Don't worry, that was like the first thing we asked about it. Anyway, so that
was the first thing I did. I was like, what the hell is with all the Pooh Bears?
It's in Templar 1. Here's the thing. So, the four main races, Amar, Kaldari, Minmatar, Galente, and everything. Mm-hmm. So, here's the thing. In Templar 1, you have your main character, it's Vince, right? Yeah, Vince was born Kaldari, but then he died, and then the Amarians took him and then tested the clone technology on him. He was their first successful trial of the clone technology on an
clone soldier technology.
Yes, outside of the pod. And thing is, though, the Amarians were like, we can do our religious crusade, whatever, blah, 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 all that jazz. And then, then it's just, at the end of the book, you have Caldari, you have Amar, and you have Galente putting their differences aside because they realize the Amarians would completely wipe out everyone else and be like, y'all are following our religion and everything. So the
basically, the clone soldier stuff, dangerous stuff. That was the whole idea. And then you have the whole thing where, again, little bits of spoilers and stuff, I guess, but we've been talking about this stuff for years anyhow. Anyone who dives into the evil lore has probably heard this stuff anyhow, but it's just the clone soldiers were built using sleeper implants that were ripped right out of sleepers, and they had leftover bits of the minds of the people they ripped those out of, and that was messing with them. They heard their thoughts and stuff, and things were getting really weird. And then
Templar 1 still covers Empress Jamal or Jamil.
Yeah, Jamil Sorum, yep.
Her and about that stuff and how okay. I'm cutting the music. Sorry. I'm in control. I am the captain now.
Yeah, I'm like, oh, we have music?
Anyways, yeah, and so throughout the book, and it actually briefly has it. They talk about how Empress Jamil. Did I say it right again?
Yes, you did. Yeah.
Thank you. Of how according to Amarian tradition, is that whenever they figure out who is the true emperor or empress of Amar or whoever loses, they have to destroy their clone backup so that when they die for good.
So the thing with the Amar, exactly, it's like what you're saying. So there's a number of different royal houses, and when an emperor or empress dies, they have succession trials to select the next one from the heads of the houses, and the one that is the winner obviously becomes the emperor, and all the rest of them have to commit ritual suicide.
Yes.
So and all the royals, I keep calling them royals, but there's a better word for it. I can't remember it.
The only important royal is
they
Queen Pandora Singularity of Safazon.
What about that princess whatever that was here last week, Abby?
No.
So yeah, the thing with all that is they aren't allowed to actually have clones in the first place because it's royal flesh and stuff like that, and it's if you're cloned, it's your soul isn't in it anymore and that sort of thing. There's a lot of that sort of spiritual aspect.
I agree, Sawdeath. She was rightfully terminated. She was more trouble to begin with.
No. So here's the thing. She was rightfully terminated, but believe it or not, she actually still did have a clone backup. But in that split second of the clone of transferring the consciousness of the now deceased blob to the new one, there was a little hiccup. It took her consciousness a little bit longer to get to the new one, and then they're like, what the fuck? And like Uriel said, something got in, and that was the old sleeper from the technology that
I'd actually love to just go through all of Jamil's story, because this is stuff that's still in my head.
Please,
let's do it.
Yeah. So I want to start with what. All right. So I'll just start with what she is. I mean, she was born, good long while ago. She was not a young person by the time she died, by the way. She's been around for a long time. So, as a child, her father wanted to become the emperor. He was never able to. He's also the guy who was responsible, sort of, for the Battle of Vac Atioth, which was the battle between the Amar and the Jove Directorate. He was the one in charge during that of the Navy, and they lost that really badly, so that was a big mark of shame for him for a long time. He was bitter. His wife and daughter did not like him. He ended up dying of old age and stuff. Jamil was kind of set up to be the next big, royal heir for House Sorum. And back in, it was literally, 2003 or 2004? Late 2003, so? I think. They had in-game in the lore, the emperor at the time died. Succession trials happened. And I can't remember the one who won. It wasn't Jamil, though. So her and all the other heirs had to, kill themselves or whatever. But the thing that happened there was she had someone who was kind of in control of her at the time, kind of made himself into her handler in a lot of weird ways. Some little bit of creepy stuff going on there if you actually read the novels. Not great stuff. That's some of the stuff I don't like as much from the Tony Gonzalez books. But putting all that, to the side for a second, she was secretly cloned, and
naughty.
The intention of keeping her alive somewhere to eventually take a place at the top of the Amar Empire if they could. Now, the thing that happened midway, though, was, as you said before, something got into her clone data as it was being sent from, her pod to her new body. And so to talk about like how something got in the first place, I already mentioned the Battle of Vac Atioth, so, between the Jove and the Amar, there's a lot of leftover technology floating around, a lot of old broken stuff, a lot of hidden stuff. And the guy that was basically in control of Jamil at the time found tech that he actually incorporated into her clone and a bunch of other people's. Basically, faster than light communications, everyone in Eve uses that. But this is again, third Jove Empire, so Jove Directorate thing, where they had that sort of thing, you could just have it in your brain. And that's what that was, and he put it into her new clone's head, and kind of like nodes for it into the heads of a bunch of other clones of important people who were connected to her here, so she could kind of act like a god. That was his plan.
Yeah.
And then because that was there, though, some entity during the cloning transfer was able to get in there and begin enacting its own weird plans.
And then it wasn't like a Harbinger thing from Mass Effect 2 where it's like assuming control.
Nope.
It was literally two consciouses living in one body. So they're literally fighting. The Empress is fighting against, like, I don't know. Do we ever get a name for it, or just call
it's
it the
only ever
Sleeper?
referred to as the Other.
Yeah,
and
so,
that's
like,
also a bit confusing because I'll go more into that as well. But yeah, talk for a second. Yeah,
and then it's just like the Empress and the Other are literally fighting, and then so like sometimes the Other would take over like Harbinger, and then she'll be like "fuck you, bitch," and then like but then it's literally like what you see in movies or whatever of how then she'll be like, "Oh, I'm so weak all of a sudden. I need to rest." All that shit. And
there's some of that. It's funny though. In some things. So she's portrayed as being pretty tough about it all, though. I think, again, the Tony Gonzalez stuff isn't the best portrayal of her character. My favorite bit with her actually comes from a totally separate chronicle, which I don't think is even actually on the fiction portal, funny enough. But you can find it on the Backstage one, and it's called And I Shall Hide. The alternate version of that, And I Shall Hide alternate, is what I think of as pretty much the best example of just like the relationship between her and the Other and kind of their back and forth and her daily struggle. And I can actually put that in the Twitch chat if I'm able to post links.
Do. Yeah, you are.
Please do.
Yeah, please do, because like I'm gonna be like opening that up and then looking through it. I love the Eve lore so much, and then just like also the fact that CCP has made it so that whatever us players, capsuleers do in the game is canon. So like the MTAC 2, the Bascaran, my eviction, all the other evictions and everything, it is canon. I want to see Mal do that impression of the whole thing. What do you mean? Hey!
What impression of the whole thing?
I don't fucking know. Okay, I'm opening up this. But yeah, so
read the lore in that voice.
What voice?
Uh-oh.
I have many voices.
Oh.
I have
the good
which
voice? The naughty voice.
There's a good.
Which voice?
That one?
And then here I'll be like, all right, folks. So, your Empress. Okay, so what was the Empress one? Oh no! Was it that?
Oh, that one, yeah.
All right, okay. All right, I'm gonna read this, and I shall hide.
Oh god, the whole thing.
I'm just gonna read a couple lines. All right?
Yeah, read a bit of it. Yeah.
All right, okay. I hope that I am insane. I wish that I am insane. These are my first thoughts upon waking from a nightmare. Make the nightmare real on this waking world, the fiction of a despoiled mind. But I know it's not true, for the dreams change night to night, but reality maintains continuous. All right, that's it. That's all you're fucking getting.
Yeah, so if we jump back to like all of the story from there forward, like, what is this thing that jumped into the Empress's head? And that's like where you dive way back deep into some weird old, really esoteric stuff that's all kind of interconnected. So the Jove, as people knew them, how they have their space way up in the galactic northeast that no one can get to, and none of the Stargates are there anymore because they all got blown up from something else.
People do get into Jove space.
Well, they get into the one system for the Alliance tournament, yeah. That is a fun one. Let's see, actually, I've been in that system once when I was actually in the Succession trials a number of years back. I lost the first round. I had a team. We lost right away, but it was fun. So it was good to be a part of that. Anyhow, though, Jove Space up there, the ones who lived up there were actually the third empire, if you want to call that, of that race. And there were two others before that each, rose and fell, because they collapsed and bad things happened.
Mm-hmm.
The second one, the second Jove Empire, is a really, really vital and interesting one. So during that time...
That second empire is like the time of the Jove, or no?
So it was, another time of the Jove. They've been around the entire time, basically. So you had the first empire, which came about, after the Eve Gate collapse, which I can talk about that in a bit too. But they came up, they were basically the presumed to have been at the highest kind of stage they ever reached. After that, they never really hit that golden age again. But the second empire was brought together by one Jove, who was particularly just kind of ruthless. And he was like, all right, all of you splintered remnants of the first empire, join my group or die, basically. And, he was really tough about it, but it worked. And he wasn't, evil or anything. He was just super ridiculously, on top of things and, like I said, ruthless. And his group was called the Tyrants, and that's the thing I'm going to bring up again later. But during the Second Empire, you had the group that we know as the Sleepers really become their own thing. They ended up being a sort of elite group within the Empire because they lived in their VR world that they had put together. They had some people in charge of it.
Yeah.
But the Sleepers sort of were doing well for themselves, and then they hit the point where they could actually do time dilation in virtual reality and simulate real conditions faster than real life had them, and they picked up the pace of their development faster than anyone else could. And the people in charge of their VR were like, all right, we're going to dictate what gets to actually leave the VR in terms of tech advancements and stuff.
So the people in the VR world, those are called the Sleepers, correct?
Yeah, that's what they're mostly referred to.
And then the other people that the mechanics that maintained the VR world, what were they called? Still Sleepers?
So again, the Tony Gonzalez stuff and all the stuff that we got from that, there's one group that was mentioned in both the Odyssey and in Templar 1.
Mm-hmm.
They're way more mysterious in Theodicy, but some of what they say there is actually some of the stuff I still latch onto the most today in terms of connecting them to another group that's actually around now.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, they were called, in the words of one of the Third Empire Jove guys, the Enheduani, which is just a word taken right from the name of a Sumerian, I think, author and princess, I think, Enheduana. Can't remember exactly. No real extreme, relevance to the name there. It's just a cool thing to have. But they were in charge of it. And they were controlling what knowledge could leave the VR because it was doing way better than everyone else.
Mm-hmm.
And then at some point, for reasons that have never truly been identified, the Jove disease showed up, which is basically a big error in their genes, because they were by that point, completely, reproducing basically in clone vats. They had perfected themselves in their own sort of thoughts, and something went terribly wrong. Some thought it was sabotage, others, it's not known. Either way, though, they all went to the Sleepers for help and said, you should be able to fix this. And they said, we can't. So regardless of whether or not they were responsible, them or the people in charge of them, the Tyrants, the group in charge of the Jove, and basically all the other Jove on the outside, attacked them and chased them away. And eventually the Sleepers, escaped to wormhole space, where they had already apparently been set up for some time, but they brought everything in there and closed the doors behind them. And that was 2,000 something years ago in the current game time. So they all went to sleep in there, and
the Sleepers have
the people
awoken.
in charge. Yeah, that's what I'll get to as well. Yeah, it's really important with that. So back to what actually got into Jamil's head. It wasn't a sleeper proper, but over basically thousands of years of runtime, at some point during those many, many years, things started appearing in the VR. These were artificial, sapient, intelligent beings that existed entirely in the virtual reality. Yeah, actually, if you ever watched, I love this movie, Tron Legacy.
Yes.
The ISOs in that is basically exactly what happened in the Sleeper VR.
And then the Sleepers were like, the fuck is this shit? We need to kill them.
So what happened there? Yeah, the Sleepers actually, while they're in the VR, it's said at least, and from what we read, they weren't aware that they're in a VR. But these things that were born in it were intrinsically aware of this, and were like, we're in a fake world. We got to get out. And the ones in charge were like, all right, well, we can't have that. So there's just a lot of conflict between all of that. And by the time any Capsuleers or anything got to wormhole space, 2010 when Apocrypha happened? It was 2010, I think, right? Or was it 11?
The first faction that did make it to wormhole space was actually the Amarians, correct?
One Galente ship went in first.
Oh, shit.
But basically, by the time anyone got there, none of the people in charge...
No, wait, did they bookmark the return hole?
They never came back.
So I guess not.
I guess not. There's a good chronicle about that as well, actually. There's a whole series of things. Good stuff. Beyond the Row was the character.
Yeah.
And someone eventually actually found her ship, that character's ship, in wormhole space. And...
What?
Just floating, drifting, empty. And they blew it up. And there's an item in the cargo that was like some lore item that could have, had some
Why
or something.
would you do that?
I mean, because they didn't know it was a lore-related
That's such
character.
an Eve
To them,
thing.
isn't it? It's great. Honestly, I love it. What an Eve thing to have happened. They're just, roaming wormholes. They find this empty ship. They're like, oh, maybe we could bring this back. And there's like, oh, there's hostiles in the hole. Let's just blow this up so they don't get it either. And they left. And people found this out later. Very funny.
That hurts.
Yeah.
Like, yes, I understand, but like, that hurts.
In a way, though, how much more of an Eve thing can happen?
That is fair. That is fair.
That's
it's just
the
like
most Eve thing.
that is the the fuck is this? I'm gonna blow it up. Now,
I get
did that
revealed.
loot item like drop or no?
No, it did not. But what it was, that was an item that's been in the database since way back.
Please bring it back.
It's just the item itself is trinary data, and that's a thing that's always been related to the Jove in general.
That could have
back in,
been
like,
how we
2003 and
activated
2004.
the New Eden Gate and went into Jove space again. Like, why did you do this?
Well, they didn't
The
activate the
CCP
Eve Gate.
would
The Eve
just,
Gate's
like,
on its own.
troll
Yeah,
so
the
hard.
Eve,
but,
the
like,
Eve Gate.
but what
does
if
on
it
its
was-
own.
What if this lore piece was the piece we needed to know how to read the languages to reactivate things so we could go home?
So the
But
Eve Gate itself is a
CCP
really
would be
funny thing.
silly to leave that up to the players because they know
Yeah,
that
they-
some players would just
We'd
blow
wreck
it
it.
up.
And also, if we were to go back through the Eve Gate, we would
Either find nothing or get
no.
absolutely
Like
screwed.
think about it. If like all the Capsuleers go back through the Eve Gate, then basically Eve is dead. Like Eve
Yeah.
will officially it will cease to exist.
It'd just be a lot of space out there.
But didn't they say that they saw a distant flash, like they think it was like the other end of the Eve Gate, like something exploding?
Oh, that's another bit of old Eve lore, yeah. Where like, so I think at the time it was because there was a error in the skybox thing, and like all the stars were getting like rendered in this one point in the sky, and it was super duper bright, and they worked that into the lore actually, where they're saying, oh, some scientists think that this is the light from the other side of the Eve Gate at the time that it broke, reaching us finally. And it's just a really neat way that they just incorporated a bug into the story.
So
I
regarding
was wondering because like I don't know a lot about this stuff obviously, so I just remember reading that once. So I'm just like, I wonder what that has to do with anything.
so
Yeah, no, it's neat.
regarding the Eve Gate, so like by the time when like humans did cross through the Eve Gate, it was thousands like the technology that we have now today in New Eden, we didn't have that. It's basically like what our real-time technology is, but a little bit more advanced.
So the year the Eve Gate stuff actually happened, it was the late 7000s AD, I think. So they were doing pretty well for themselves.
Yeah, they were.
But at the time, the Eve Gate wormhole, first off, so actually, I'll just talk about the Eve Gate now, because this is fun. I love this thing. Around the year, just before 8000 or so, it was like 7900 something. I don't remember all the exact dates. I'm a huge nerd, but I can't remember all the numbers.
I'm a nerd, but I don't.
Mankind had kind of just spread as much as it could within the area of the Milky Way that it was able to reach. Like any stars that they could really reach and build gates between, they already kind of had. And even the ones that they hadn't finished setting up with, everything was very, it was just a massive tangle of bureaucracy, huge mega corporations as nations just owning everything before anyone ever got there. And they're running out of space and running out of things to claim and start infighting. Things are going bad. And then they discover a wormhole, the first known natural wormhole in actually a specific system. It's funny, in the old manual, I think it was, they mentioned the system where they found it. As a fun little reference, it was in the Canopus system, which is where the planet Arrakis orbits in Dune. So that's fun. They just used that as the location. But yeah, they found this wormhole. They go through. They find this huge open cluster of stars, New Eden. People start pouring in. Colonists are going in. Huge groups of people all doing their own thing. All of the people who eventually would become anyone we see in Eve today were going through. And the gate was open. Sorry, the wormhole, I'll say, was open for some time. At some point, they realized, hey, this thing's going to collapse at some point. So they built a giant structure around it to really just kind of hold it open. And that's the Eve gate proper, like the structure that exists. And at some point, the wormhole was like at its end of life, but it just kept it open far long past that. And around 8100 AD, it collapsed. Something went really wrong. And it's
fuck this shit.
Weird at this point. So the wormhole broke is kind of the idea of it. It's not that it just collapsed. Something much more.
But
it collapsed, but there's something much more wrong with it.
Yeah.
Because at this time, it's basically just energy just pouring out of it constantly, like this just faucet.
It almost like went
of unapproachable electromagnetic,
but not.
Kinda, yeah. Like it's a weird sort of thing. And the whole idea of it though is that the gate structure is kind of still there.
Yeah.
And if I had to make up some narrative mumbo jumbo for it, I'd say the gate's just holding open that hole, even though the hole's not connected to the other side anymore.
I'm going to the fucking Eve gate so we can fucking figure this shit out, okay?
It's funny when you're there and you're looking at the skybox effect. If you watch it for a while, you see it like flash a few times, like it's trying to start up or something. And it flashes real bright, and it just does that every once in a while.
Okay.
Neat stuff. It's a nice location. It's very pretty. It's not like you can do anything with it. And the Eve Gate, canonically, is a number of light years away from that system in the first place. So it's as far away as another star would be anyhow. But it is where it all began, and it's really neat. So, yeah. There's only one planet in that system as well, and everything got really just sterilized and destroyed when the gate blew up. So yeah, though. Okay, what do you say?
Well, no, I was going to say that's what Silver was saying. And also, I'm sorry, Redline for the munch. Silver was saying whatever happened to the giant gate thingy in that one trailer. So like I take it that's what you were talking about, the thing that was like trying to
So that trailer actually isn't something that's happened in the story. It was more of a like, this is what CCP would love to do someday, because they had Eve stuff, they had Dust, they had Valkyrie. They're at the really ambitious vision at the time, and this is something honestly that I deeply miss in the sort of idea of where is Eve going to go, is that they would have multiple games connected to each other, all playing the same game.
CCP,
which is they somewhat Dust, succeeded in that with Dust, which I honestly thought was the neatest thing ever. Like, sure, the game was only on the PS3, which I'm sure was because of some like marketing decision and deal and like way to get funding and stuff like that. But
bring
it just
to PC.
Yeah, so I mean, so actually right now at this time, CCP is developing a Eve-based shooter game in London, actually. And remember Project Nova, that was a thing. So they decided to take that totally back to the drawing board. But they have a studio in London. I mean, if you look on their website, you can see job openings for the place. Like they are working on an evolution of that. And I miss Valkyrie too. Valkyrie was very fun. I liked the whole story with that. Like there was just there's this really broad, rich fabric of stuff that existed for Eve during that time. And while some of it seems like it was a little overambitious and not really like feasible, maybe, I don't know, maybe that's why it never really happened. That again, that trailer had, what if this happened in the future? That gate in that trailer doesn't exist in the story. Really neat though. But I don't know, I miss that. I miss that sort of era.
Shush, Ivy. Listen, I moved the microphone away, okay?
Sorry, Uriel. I just got a
kick
kick out of the fact of her trying actively not to munch in her mic on her pretzel.
Like, doing your best. I totally understand.
Fuck, guys, I'm trying my best.
I mean, when you gotta eat, though. Like,
I'm very
I ate just before
lately.
we got on stream. Very nice. My girlfriend made this wonderful, just like Alfredo with like all this garlic, roasted garlic, and like
I'm so jealous.
just like sun-dried tomatoes. So good.
Oh.
She's the best. And so okay, if we
are you gonna bring her out to to the Nerd Meets too?
We still actually, I was going to bring her to Iceland. We were going to go to Iceland for FanFest before everything obviously began happening. At long last, we did actually get vouchers for Iceland Air. So when the time comes that we're going to
Some people are actually getting refunds too. Just squeaky.
See, I'm happy to keep it. Honestly, it's like, what is it, like $450 worth of a voucher for any time in the next 3 years. I mean, I think I'm gonna go sometime in the next 3 years. So
yeah,
why not?
Yeah.
I figure it'd be more trouble to try to get the refund at this point, and I desperately want to go back to Iceland, so I'm fine with that.
Blue Lagoon. Yes, please.
I was actually going to go there last time.
Or the Secret Lagoon, because
Secret
everybody
Lagoon, yeah, it's
says
the other one.
that the Blue Lagoon, since it's technically just the output pond of a geothermal plant. So
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing. It's just silica
Don't ruin
and
the
stuff like
dream.
that. So
Don't
there's
ruin
nothing
the
actually
dream.
wrong with it, but that's why it's blue.
I don't
So it's neat.
Like, yeah,
Secret
Uriel's
Lagoon
like-
is also much less crowded, and it's like
Right,
an hour or so out of
here's-
Reykjavik.
got me this calendar
Oh,
for Christmas.
that's fun.
Oh,
That is
So
real
it's
fun.
like,
Uriel, Redline's asking a good question. Did you ever get the Empress's corpse?
So that is obviously the end of Jamil's story there. I can get to where that point happened, but to put it short, no. It's still out there, though.
hey,
It is out
CCP
there.
Convict, what's up, my
And
dude?
someday...
maybe
Yeah.
like they deleted the character and then somebody created the characters.
So
using
you're
the
actually... There is a... so the new Empress, Empress Katiz the First, someone made that
Oh, the
character
other
with the
one?
right name before CCP could kind of reserve it, and they made a bunch of corpses of it, and we're like, hey, the Empress got killed. There's a bunch of her corpse. So the one for Jamil, though, they actually had a character, and, it was in space. That's the one the corpse came from.
Convict.
At one
So-
point, so that corpse did exist. A player
Sasha says
did
hi.
pick it up. Hi, CCP Convict. How you doing?
He says, and there's an Australian guy in Reykjavik who makes authentic Aussie meat pies, and he's
Ooh.
eaten one too many over the last few days.
I'm deeply jealous.
I want to say
Man.
that's you.
I had a lot of good food in Reykjavik. Oh man.
Oh, the food is phenomenal. The only complaint I have is it's so rich that when you go back to like where you come from, you're like,
Things don't compare as well.
doesn't.
I've had some really good sushi in Reykjavik.
not-
Ooh.
I mean, I live in New Orleans, so
Yeah.
never.
I miss the hot dog stand. I love that hot
sure.
dog stand.
Oh, man,
oh,
that was the nastiest hot dog I've ever eaten. Oh my
I thought it was good.
god.
It had like the
No.
crunchy onions and the regular onions and that special sauce, and they had like pictures inside from all these like famous people who have visited it, and it's just neat. I don't know.
Ugh.
I remember the first year that I made it to Iceland.
Thanks for
Game
the
Fest.
sub, Connie.
That was-
All right, let's see if I
Oh,
get fucking
that's
smart
nice.
bobbed on Tama.
So 2017, I think so. Yeah, okay. The one with the Kiyonoka Inquest one, the LARP thing that happened there. That
That
was
was
a very fun time.
phenomenal.
I loved
Oh
that.
my god.
And I ended up hanging out with a bunch of the event actors from there. We all ended up just like hanging out and making a little bit buddies. And I talked to one of them still once in a long while. But so we're hanging out. We after the party at the top of the world, everyone trickles out of there, and they obviously were invited to the developer party. So they said, hey, walk with us. It's like, all right, and made it over there. I couldn't get in, obviously, but my
I
phone
was
was
gonna say,
dead.
did you get into the developer party?
No,
That would have been
no.
phenomenal.
I'd feel a little like I'd just be bothering anyone in that case anyhow, because like I'm just player just hanging out. Let the devs do their thing, It's like having a little company party.
I
Those are
just
fun.
want to interject. I didn't get smart bombed on the Tama gate, guys. What's
Damn,
happening to Tama?
Nice.
Yeah, it's very nicely
I mean,
done.
I've been
Rockin'.
through there a bunch of times, and I never get smart bombed, so I mean, I'm just lucky. I've been smart bombed some other times going from like Horde space towards Jita.
Yeah, it's quite a thing.
And-
I'm usually in Poshfin lately, so I don't do as much of any of that lately.
Every system I go to, I'm just like, oh look, new Eden post, new Eden post, new Eden post.
Oh, it's fun. Advertising. Anyhow, though, back to that little bit of story. Made it to the thing. Couldn't get into the party. Oh, you still have the pages from it. Oh, that's great. I think I have one or two of those
read
somewhere.
those.
Oh wow.
I stole them. I was like putting them in my bag. I'm trying to find my name tag from that year because I had one of those LARP cards that was like
Mhm.
I had to go around being like, did you know there's missing medical reports? And then the missing medical reports are in my bag.
Oh, it was a hell of a lot of fun. That was a good time. It very
It
much was.
was.
Oh well, I did get smart bombed.
Oh no!
Oh, no.
Did you make it?
No.
Did your pod make it?
5 materials didn't get. I didn't get potted.
I think I found it. I think I finally found it. Let me see. It's in here somewhere. I've got like so much.
Oh my god! I have so
Oh,
many
and
of those.
Course,
Oh,
Of course.
Oh,
So many
yeah,
lanyards.
I
Smart
have
bombing materials.
my collection. I need to make like a corkboard thing.
Rip Mal.
Yeah. See,
Mega F. Oh yeah, you got the little card. Yeah.
there are missing medical reports, and then I'm like,
You're missing. You're the reason they're missing. How's that?
Guys, we're missing medical reports. We need more.
So I was going around being like, have you seen these missing medical reports? And people's like, yeah, I got one right here. I'm like, oh, okay, let me go bring it back. Into the bag.
I probably gave you one of those at some point.
Probably did.
CCP,
I probably did.
We need more.
And here I am running around stealing them. Wow. You know what? These for me, like they're just.
It's just
like,
neat. It's a little part of Eve
These are
memories.
good memories. Yeah.
Also, whenever we found a page, we were taking a picture of it first. Anyhow, any of us ARC dudes, so we ended up figuring stuff out anyhow.
Oh, I still have the clear piece of paper that they were sitting on in the hallway, so that I could easily
read it.
it. And I looted that too. I'm sorry, CCP. I'm not sorry. This for me is like, you have no idea how much.
I mean, I'm sure they just would have been thrown out afterward anyhow. I suppose,
Denying viral science before it was cool, Ivy.
Oh God.
Oh, I still have the thing you gave me. I think you were the one who gave me this one. Let me check. Did you give me this badge? I think you did, Uriel. Did you give me that one?
It was either me or Makoto or one of the
No,
others.
it was because I remember you gave me something, and I was almost positive it was some.
It might have been that. It might have been one of the ID cards and stuff too, because we all made bunches of those types of things.
You guys
too.
gave me so much stuff that year.
Let's see. The one I actually have from that fan fest, I have it hung up on my wall. Little lanyard with my character on it.
I really like those. Yeah.
We had another one that we made at some other point with all that. And they each obviously have the ARC logo or some other stuff on them. Oh, this one was Vegas actually. This was some other stuff we did. But making these lanyards has always been very fun. So.
And I still got my tokens that you got from doing the.
Yeah, I've got a few of those too. There were hundreds of those though. I remember when Zenuria grabbed a huge bunch of them and ran out of the room. And one of my buddies actually chased after him and they caught up with him. And they it was just it was a very funny thing. And there's this one picture, it's just black and white, from high above, a photographer got it, of him holding him, and all the coins had spilled on the ground, and someone just put wasted over that, and it was just the funniest fucking thing. That was just a very great event. Everyone had such a good time. My lanyards from the years, these things are freaking heavy, guys. Rattle. Oh God, yeah, I know. I mean, I remember Logibro with 50 of those, all of them covered in badges and stuff. Oh, I miss him. He was fun.
I have my bag full of my lanyards, and I was like, man, I've been training for years for this, because this is just like a Mardi Gras covered. You're covered in beads. When you have enough beads, and it's almost under your chin, and you feel like you take it all off, and it's just pounds of beads. So a few lanyards is nothing.
You're training for it. You're ready.
How you doing?
Seriously worried about. Yeah, the one time I got to meet Logi Bro, it was after he wasn't even at CCP anymore, but he was at FanFest 2018.
I was getting worried about Logi Bro's spine. He had a lot of buttons.
Yeah, I got to talk to him for a little bit.
What else do I got?
Going to that one karaoke place in both 2017 and 2018 in Iceland, where we did the Tweet Fleet meetup. Good times, very good times.
Yeah,
we'll all do it again.
We taped our flags to the wall.
Yep. Oh yeah.
Speaking of Nolan, I found this one. If that's the one you were asking me about the other day, the World Tour Vegas poker coin.
Yo, that's fucking dope.
There's a lot of great little stuff that we've gotten from all the events. I have all my stuff in the other room. I can't get it.
Yeah, I have all my stuff in a bag in my apartment. I have all that. I have my.
It's all in one place.
I made my poker chips for the Vegas 2019. Now I always think it's that was last year. 2020 just did not count. So I'm just last year.
Something else.
People who do things like this is the initiative signature coin. This thing is super cool. Was it the Dramiel I did?
Yeah. Oh no, this is one of the ones for Mixed Dimensions actually. I got this recently.
And then,
really like it.
These things are amazing.
This is my Gobloon.
I want a Gobloon. And Nolan, while you're watching, this is signaturecoins.com. Ideas? There you go. Go investigate.
I think we're just advertising for all these places right now, aren't we?
I designed this. Ooh. I sat there. I combined Illustrator and...
Wait. Signaturecoins.com?
Yeah.
All right, okay.
I was challengecoins.com or something. I don't know. But they're really cool.
Look at. I've got all the pods still that TIS didn't hand out still in my bag.
Totally making a pot.
They even have Test made these coins that are even bigger, so that had to cost.
They just had to outdo you.
I have the
all the
like,
swag, all that stuff. I
Also,
still have
wanna know
my
what?
pandemic horde swag glasses are
This-
somewhere as
This
well
is
in the other
turned
room.
into it's not even just us. Like swag is
You got 'em.
the RP. It's the lore. Like we collect this crap because it means something to us.
It does really.
Y'all
Y'all
Not
with
crap.
swag, and then meanwhile, where is it? I just have a bottle stopper.
I even look at what I got at Vegas. I got it's a CCP guard.
oh, I have that.
Oh.
Oh, that was the best. That was the
Oh,
best.
Svenny. I
And,
miss him. Good dude.
And then where is it?
Oh,
one of
going to
these
get more
I
stuff.
have that thing.
This is just a
But yeah,
loot show off now, isn't it?
my NC dot badge. I stole this from Apollo. I literally
a good
walked
one.
over to him and I went, I really like that button. And he's like, yeah, don't you like it? And I'm like, mine now. And then I walked away and he just stood there like, did she just steal my pin?
I remember when someone took the horde flag at the last Vegas or something. Like actually
that
ran
was-
away with
that
it.
was
That was really
a-
weird.
A weird thing because like we didn't know who she was.
No one knew her. Yeah,
She was somebody's friend, and so we had to like track her down because she literally like she grabbed it and ran away with it.
and, like left it somewhere, and it was
Yeah,
broken. and,
CCP
like, really
convict.
weird.
Now that Delana has those glasses on, I feel like she's reached her final form.
Oh, I have a
Ultimate form.
picture that he should see.
And we have squirreled.
We have.
Yeah, this is just the whole thing because it's hard to keep this in because we miss this stuff.
It is. No,
Welcome-
this is,
No,
this
that's
is
fair.
not at all a bad thing. There's a lot
know,
of nostalgia
The
happening.
whole
just-
squirreling. Welcome to lasers and lace.
I like this thing a lot, though. This is times where you can do this is the best.
Oh, it's
Oh, I do-
wonderful.
you know
It's
what?
Great.
So as Baltic says in stream, I have his world tour shirt from Amsterdam still. I never gave it back to him, and it's in my closet. The next time we all end up somewhere, I'm gonna bring that,
I was
and I
gonna
will
say,
bring
as
it
an
back to you.
ultimate power move, go and put it on right now, then come back.
Oh, no, I couldn't do that right now. I'm not gonna change on stream. Sorry. Not this
See,
time.
Mal, I'm putting this in.
What? Where? Who? What?
In production.
Okay. Yeah.
In our little production handles. You know, so
Oh my god, I love that. That is amazing.
I
That
literally
is
pulled
my
out
final
box of
form.
swag.
All right, CCP convict. Are you ready for
Are you ready?
Diana's?
Are you ready for this? You can't handle it.
All right, and so. let's see.
Oh man, I feel it too. I'm not on cam right now, but I have a cupboard full of memorabilia from meats I've collected. Lay it on me. He's ready. Lay it on
Yeah, I
him.
just have like a big box in my apartment, and I need to put everything on like a cork board thing
Yeah, I've got to get a nice display up somewhere at some point.
because it's
Right
like
now, it's just all the Winnie the Pooh dolls. So,
so I
you
could
know.
be like 2017 to 2019 is all the stuff because I guess next year I could start anew because I was always worried like with all my lanyards that I would lose something. Oh look, there it is.
Form. You remind me of like
Oh
that
God,
creepy
there's the
spider
picture.
thing.
It does have eight eyes.
They're kind of disorienting. I mean,
Technically 10.
yeah,
Well,
10 eyes
yeah,
out
if
here.
Yeah, so that
I don't
is
know-
my final
don't know
form
if I
because I
like
have
it.
like I have the boxes. I still have boxes full of sunglasses because I'd always order a lot more than I needed so that I could have them for the next events. So
I
yeah,
felt so bad for you in Vegas because the entire time, like, you were literally like walking around with boxes, and I'm like,
Oh yeah.
when do you get a break from the swag?
yeah, because last
Never.
time
No
Swag
such thing
never
as a break.
rests.
I had one of the other horde girls. She actually works for a company that does customized swag.
Ooh,
So
that's fun.
she sent stuff to Vegas ahead of time, like to our friend's house who lives in Vegas. So he's already there, and he's the guy that hosts the barbecue. So all
That
the
was-
stuff
that
was
was fun.
in his house. It looked like
He's the
Christmas
nicest
morning.
guy. I miss
Just
him.
boxes and boxes of stuff, and because she didn't tell me exactly all the stuff that she sent there, so I had no idea until I got to Grador's house, and I was just like,
It's, like,
Jesus!
full of boxes.
'Cause he
And
just
then,
put
like,
them
you know-
all. He put them all to the side for me until I got there, and I was just like, ugh. So
A bunch
I
of boxes and a bunch of little wiener dogs running around.
Well, yeah.
I love his dog.
yeah, like the little 5 dogs. So I had to get all the guys. I got like, hey, horde guys, come here, carry the boxes, because we had to Uber back to the hotel. So like We
God.
throw all
Convoy.
the stuff in the back of the Uber. I had to get everybody like, grab 3 boxes, let's go. And then like in the hotel room, we had to like pile them all up in the corner, and then I just had, man, I brought them all down to the ballroom the next day, and I'm like, people, take stuff, just
My
take
God.
it. I spread it all over the table. I'm like, take it.
I don't care if
Yeah.
you're not on the
Next
board.
year-
Take it.
I think next year we should hopefully be able to maybe start
I
doing stuff again.
wish that
I
was
very
Some
much
people
hope so.
still want to try stuff this year, but I
Not
just,
yet. No, it's much too
No.
early. Much too early.
It is very
it's
too
driving
early.
me nuts. But
I'm just hella excited for Eve North next year. Because
Ooh,
I have a
yeah.
feeling Ivy's going to be like, Mal, get your ass down here a couple days early and come
I told
help me."
you, 2021 is canceled. It's getting pushed again to 2022.
That's what I said.
Okay, I know. I'm still really upset about it.
No, I don't blame you.
Like,
I don't blame you at all.
It's what's gotta happen. You just gotta be safe.
It's
Listen, we care
and that's-
about all your pilots' safety
And that's
outside of the
thing,
game.
too.
Inside of the
Like,
game, we want to fucking kill
I've said
you.
this time and time again. Like, the Eve community means. I'm going to go on my soapbox now. Like, the Eve community means so much to me. Like, Uriel, I'm going to say this while I have you on cam. You have no idea what you did for me.
Oh.
I'm going to cry. I'm sorry. In 2017, when we went out and everybody was just dancing, and there I was just kind of doing the thumb thing by myself because I didn't know anybody. And then you grabbed me and you just started dancing with me. Like, I was in a really bad mindset that night, and the fact that you did that, and you didn't even know what you did, you just danced with me, and like it just changed how I was feeling. And yeah, I'm sorry, but thank you.
Oh
so much.
no, that makes me feel really nice. I'm glad I was able to do that for you. Really, I think I've never felt more at home than I have at the Eve meets, really, because then it's like at
your people.
FanFest or Vegas, it's like, you know, thousands of people who I know I already share a common interest with. Like, there's something wonderful about that, just getting to be in a place like that, and that's definitely what I'm looking forward to doing more of. Really, good times.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So, yeah.
I'll always remember is 2017 Vegas, and I was standing
voice is
in
gone.
line to try, I don't know, one of the VR games, and Uriel was
Gunjack,
talking.
probably.
He was
or Valkyrie.
talking to me,
Hey,
and
Lurch Quave Zero,
it
thank
was-
you very much for the raid.
it was Sunday, so not only was I probably hungover from the Saturday party, but also I was getting a really bad case of just con plague.
On flu, yeah.
So, because by the time of the infamous squeak thing, I was almost lost my voice completely. So he was just talking to me, and I'm just like, I was so out of it.
Oh God, I know. Oh.
But
And then the squeak. That was quite a thing. You want a trip to Iceland. I mean, if there's any time to
was
exclaim
cool.
loudly,
yeah, because
enjoy.
I tried to go like like
But your voice was
excited
gone.
noise instead it came like
It's this
Aw.
loud, strange noise.
Oh,
Because,
We
like,
got
I
all on
just-
stage, and he's just like looking out into the crowd. He's like, "What was that?" It's like he run down.
it hurt too. That hurt because like my throat was just on fire
so
and like,
dead.
I could barely even talk, and I was like, because I was like,
Yeah.
is this real life?
or is this
But,
just
Really good
fantasy?
times though.
Oh, and by the way, Ivy,
Yeah.
something is going in the mail.
Yay!
Also-
You actually sent it?
CCP Convict just sent
So,
us a
just-
photo
just
of
saying.
this is his favorite Eve merch that he's gotten ever.
Oh, I can't wait to see it. Aww.
Yes, I finally figured out how to send things to Canada. I had to fill out the form because I was like, I have no idea what I'm doing.
Those patches, I wanted something
want one.
different.
I
For
have
the-
that.
I have one for you, Mal. I do.
I love you.
I only have like 3 left, so yep. I wanted something that was different / unique. Like, there's like swag's important, right?
Yeah.
And so
Was
I-
it Rix who helped design that? or-
Yeah.
Yes.
So Rix has
I
done
love
like
him. He's the best.
99% of all the artwork for Eve North, and he's done it for free, which is why when his mom passed away, I'm like, we need to do something as Eve North for this guy because he's done so much for our community. But
He's
yeah,
just a wonderful guy.
yeah, he is. And
Yeah.
again, like those patches with his artwork were like a
He made the logo Like
He did, yeah.
the Maple Leaf one? That's fucking dope. What
And then he
ship
came
did he use again?
The Garmer, I think, right?
Garmers
That's it.
and a Civ ball?
Oh, I thought they were all Garmers.
No, one's
Do you
different.
know that he also designed the logo for
I lied,
New
a Drake.
Orleans?
Oh,
Did
it was a Drake? That's a Drake?
Drake and a Garmer. Drake and Garmers.
So one day when we can have Eve New Orleans, y'all will see that logo everywhere, and I'll be putting on everything.
Good. Someday. Soon.
We will have so much stuff for that. Because
Soon, TM.
me and Codiz, we are both helping to run that, and he has his stuff. We can make all sorts of customized things. I have my printer, and
All the swag.
we're gonna have so much swag.
Millennium Falcon, welcome. So, welcome to Eve Online. That's fucking
Woohoo.
awesome that you joined. But
Yeah,
so
convicts.
this is a weekly talk show that us at Lasers and Lace, at Ivy, Diana, and myself, we
And
talk
we
about
squirreled.
Eve, and we have
sure
a
have,
wonderful
yeah.
guest, Uriel, on.
It tends to be like the subject, and then plus other.
Right now
things
we're
that
just
we
like
think of.
off topic, talking about Eve cons and everything.
We can probably get back to the lore stuff, I guess.
Yeah. Okay. Well,
So I know nothing about lore stuff, so once I get back to that, I have no.
That's all right.
I
I'll jump
wanna-
right back in. I mean, I stopped.
Oh.
I was gonna think I say more about like the.
we were talking about
Empress,
the
the
Eve
Amar
Gate a
Empress.
lot, and then
We were talking
I
about
got
that.
fucking smart bombed on a gate, and
So,
I'm
okay,
still
back to the
going
Eve
to
Gate
Amar
then.
to go back to the Eve Gate.
Back
So
to the
don't
Eve
worry.
Gate in that case.
Yeah. No.
So yeah,
Eve Gate.
It-
Eve Gate.
humankind, 7900 AD, found a wormhole to a new area of space after many years of spreading out as far as they could to the stars in their local area. All stargates that could have been feasibly built at that point had been. Internal conflict was happening between all these huge groups, big mega corporations that were in charge of everything at that point. So I bet you got like Amazon and Disney up there fighting wars. And
Imagine just like a ship with like the little mouse
ears.
head on it.
Oh, no.
Like shooting.
yeah, this is and
and the
so,
Amazon has like a little smile on it.
So then after that, they get to New Eden. They build a giant gate to hold this wormhole open, just going to hold it open. It breaks at some point, and the wormhole's broken. There's just massive amounts of energy coming out of it all the time. No one will ever be able to go through it again. I don't think we'll ever go back to Earth, if I'm being honest, in the Eve story. But it'd be neat if we did, whatever. Because it'd probably just kind of be a wasteland at that point anyhow, because they were already not having a good time. So then all these people trapped in New Eden, everyone who got trapped there eventually became everyone we know now. And if we're going to jump way back to where we were before with like the Amar Empress and stuff, okay. So I guess, do you want me to do that again? Do you want to try another subject? I mean, just what do you want to talk about? Oh, yeah, actually, CCP Convict mentioned something, which I can actually
Didn't
jump right back
Jamil
in.
get her hands on a Terran weapon?
Yeah, so the things with that, all right, I can just segue this right back into the Jamil stuff. So after the Amar Empress, who died in 2015...
Rest in pepperoni.
Yeah. So, okay, what happened was she was originally just, A-OK, regular Emperor heir. She lost the succession trials in 2003, had to commit ritual suicide, and secretly was cloned. Midway through that, because of something that had been built into her new clone by the guy who was kind of controlling her, an entity known as the Other sort of interloped and took up residence in her head, so there were two consciousnesses in her head. This was actually something from the Sleeper VR. So this is one of those things that I compared to the ISOs earlier, those spontaneous intelligences that came into existence in a virtual world over thousands of years of runtime, and the people in charge hated them, and they tried to get rid of them, and the people actually living in the VR didn't know they were in a VR, and these beings that came into existence in it knew they were in a fake world and wanted to get out. A lot of fighting. Apparently, I mean, I guess they must have won at some point, because you don't see the ones in charge in wormhole space taking care of anything. So anyhow, one of these entities entered the Amar Empress, and after it got to her, obviously, it did this for a reason, to start enacting its own plans, and one of those included locating some really old technology that had been cloaked by some element of one of the Jove empires at one point somewhere near the Eve Gate. And, you know, it says Terran in the novels and all, but we're looking at the, like, tech levels and, like, levels of, like, what these different groups could do. I would wager a guess that one group in particular was behind that tech that they found there and turned into a weapon, for a number of reasons, but this group called the Talocan, who were basically to the Jove what the Jove are to everyone else. So it's very, very scary. You don't see them anymore. They've gone somewhere else. They're a big mystery, but they're in the lore as well. So that weapon that the Amar Empress used, if you watch the Empyrean Age trailer for that expansion, you see her shoot that at a big Minmatar fleet and blow it up. Because at one point, the Minmatar, or a secret element of the Minmatar really, the Minmatar Elders, which are a contentious topic in the Eve lore, but they're there. They basically conspired to have the Minmatar come, you know, some group of the Minmatar come in and try to smash the Amar completely. They broke Concord for a little while. This all happened over downtime before the Empyrean Age expansion happened, technically. But they broke Concord, just bulldozed into Amar space, and were just absolutely destroying things as far as they could go, just penetrating as deep into the throne worlds as they could, trying to, you know, capture, destroy Amar, take back slaves, that sort of thing. And then the Empress comes in and stops them in their tracks with a super weapon. And because there was actually no Emperor at this time, because the previous one had been killed, and then some Blood Raider guy, who's awful, was just sort of squirreling his way into power at that time. She got rid of him. They made her the Empress, even though it was obvious to everyone, hey, she was obviously cloned, but it's like, oh, it's a miracle. And everyone just sort of ignores that in canon, you know? It's sort of just what happened. Mm-hmm. So that weapon, actually, in case you're wondering what ever happened to it, that weapon is also the reason that we have wormhole space again now.
Bless wormholes.
Yeah, so when the Sleepers went into wormhole space originally to escape the second Jove Empire, the Sleepers are Jove, by the way, they're just a different sect of them for anyone who's listening in. They closed the doors behind them, those being the wormholes. All of that, they just shut down. But the other, with Jamil, you know, in control of that, it began causing its own sort of plans to start happening. So in, like, I think it was 9 or so different locations throughout New Eden, there were just these old stockpiles where the other had, I mean, seemingly under its control, bunches of rogue drones collecting I'd say it's the closest thing to some sort of MacGuffin exotic material in EVE Online. It's Isogen 5, and you'll hear that coming up in a lot of different places, all over the place. It only formed, they could only get it from systems which had a certain type of blue star, and they were stockpiling it at these different caches. And this element, I could barely call it an element, it's just, it's a material that exists for the sake of a story. Mm-hmm. It does what it does. Because Isogen is a regular thing in EVE, and this is supposed to be an isotope of it that has properties that literally mess with the fabric of space-time, enabling wormhole creation and all sorts of other things.
The Sleepers had that, and they're like, haha, fuck you, this is how we do our shit.
So, funny thing, it wasn't the Sleepers who came up with all that wormhole stuff. Running back to it, remember those guys I mentioned, the Talocan?
Yes.
Yeah. So they were the people who actually made wormholes happen and made wormhole space what it is.
Now to them making like wormhole space, did they like have a device that just created what did they use that isotope to create the let it out in New Eden, then started creating wormhole space and everything? So
the material in canon exists naturally, but what they used it for was to mess with space and, you know, space-time itself.
The space-time continuum.
Yeah, literally, yeah. They used
Chicken Tendy says this is why the blue planets are all the systems that Triggs came after.
Well, the blue stars. Actually, I'll get to that too, because that's wicked important too, yeah.
Which I always heard of people referring to that, but I didn't know. That's why I say, like, mind blown, because I know people would say, like, blue stars. I'm like, I don't know what that has to do with anything, but okay. Yep. Like,
they made it matter a lot. It was funny because they were teasing a lot of stuff leading up to the invasion stuff, and all the lore stuff pointed to, oh, this is probably why. And then it turned out to, yeah, that's why. They also went after yellow stars, but so basically, Isogen 5, you could find it in like a far orbit, you know, kind of just like a termination line kind of around a class 01 blue star, those would be where it formed.
And I got
or that's
blood
where
and
they were
nerd.
picking it up to put it into these
Look at all those books.
caches that were being filled by the rogue drones that the other was kind of in charge of here and making happen. But who's to say that Isogen 5 doesn't also form inside of a star where you really can't get to normally? And the Trigs are taking that. So the Trigs seem to call Isogen 5 their own term for it. They call it Porivitium. But they also are collecting
Trigs
that.
are a bunch of bullies. That's all I'm here.
So,
listen,
and I'll get to
they're
that
just
too.
trying
There's a
to
lot
find
of...
a new home. All right.
There's a thing about all that, and I will get to them too, because they're very fun. The interplay between the drifters and the Trigs is just something I absolutely love, and I really want more to happen with it.
Oh, same.
But the thing is, okay, so those caches that were being filled with this Isogen 5 material, seemingly under the direction of the other in Jamil's head, there's a series of chronicles. They're called End of the World, and there's a number of them. There's in order there. During those, you have some people from a few different groups, the Sisters of Eve, and then the Blood Raiders, and then a caravan from the Thucker tribe of the Minmatar.
I thought it was Thuker, not Thucker.
Is it? I'm not sure.
I'm not too
pronounced it
sure
Thucker,
either.
but I'm not
Also,
sure.
CCP convict, I want pics, or it didn't happen. All right?
Those socks are
Trig
great. I need to get a
socks.
pair of those. Anyhow, though, so what happened there was they came across one of these caches being filled with Isogen 5 by these rogue drones, and parked right alongside it was that Abaddon that had that super weapon fitted to it. So everyone who was coming across this, you had the Sisters of the Eve, then you had the Blood Raiders, and you had, I'll say the Thucker, I guess. They were all like, this is extremely important. And the Blood Raiders were like, we're going to take this. And some shady people gave them something that allowed them to get closer to it without the drones blowing them up. It's probably the Society of Conscious Thought that actually did it, which is funny. So they're very shady.
Now, wait.
But what ended up happening, though, is that the Thucker came and they actually talked to the rogue drones, and because the rogue drones were being controlled against their will anyhow, and they let them fire off a shot at it, and it hit the ship, and every one of the caches of Isogen 5 that had been put together, because they're all like linked
Boom.
together, space-time stuff, exploded. Every single one of them.
And then did
everywhere
like
in
a
New
big
Eden.
giant wormhole appear right there?
So that's not it. It just, big ripples across space-time.
Yeah.
The whole point of these things was obviously to make wormhole space accessible again. Probably not in this way, though, because obviously...
Wormhole's great again.
Yeah, it just made unstable wormholes start forming everywhere, and then wormhole space was open to everyone in New Eden again. And this was probably not what the other wanted to happen, but it kind of had to roll with it, I guess, because
And
wormhole
didn't
space
it
was
cause
open
like
again.
all of the shattered planets too?
So that's, let's see, there's all the shattered, there's one shattered planet in wormhole space that happened because of that. All the other ones you'll see happened because of a different thing that actually happened later with that thing with Caroline's star and all of that. It's the same
Wait.
reason Thera.
Now, wait,
exists
Oh, wow.
the way it
all
is
about
now.
the shattered stuff. So, like, that's, like, all the isotopes are the reason why shatters exist?
Yes, that's why. So the first time it
Fuck
happened,
shattereds. All I'm gonna say, fuck shattereds.
so you had each of the
Wow.
More swag. Look at all
each
the
of these
swag.
caches that was in K-space was near the first planet around a blue star, a blue O1 star. When the caches blew up, basically, I'm just gonna go super like, sci-fi techno babble now because it's fun.
I love it.
But like magnetic fields of each of these stars just like snapped towards it, huge just amount of energy blasted out and just fried the first planet in each of these systems.
Also,
that's also this Salin. That's where that happened.
I just want to say I'm like 3 jumps out from New Eden, and
I
like,
hope you make it this time. I
oh,
do.
listen, there's no one there for the past 4 systems. It's just been empty.
I
Yeah,
know.
because, I mean, there's not
People
much
who
out
used
there.
to live there got kicked out.
Oh, I know
Oh.
those people too.
So do I.
Oh, but
Very sad.
listen, we're making our way downtown.
The socks.
walking
He's got the
fast.
sock.
That is
Wait,
great.
I want to see the sock. That's
He
going up on
posted a
stream.
link in.
he
I
just
love
linked it.
this so much. This is amazing.
And
Those are very
CCP
cool.
Convict says it's a Thucker.
Oh, it's Thucker. Okay, interesting. Also, all right, here you go. Here you go, folks. There
wasn't gonna
is
call you
his... Look at that. Look at that beautiful trig sock.
Amazing.
Right?
They are fun. No, I'm gonna
Amazing.
pick up a pair of those, I think.
Wait, how comfy are they?
That's the big question. That's the important question.
Like,
right there.
how comfy are
I
they?
think in his words they were very comfortable. I don't know.
No, wait, sorry. Like, do you guys do ankle socks or like full regular size socks?
You do like
regular
fluffy
size socks or just no. Again, Cece, please. Cute women apparel. Everything is boxy in men. What about us women? We want cute shit. Talk to us. We will tell you our dreams, our desires, what we want.
Even though I'm sure they think of like, well, there's such a minority of female players that
there's more
the availability of products.
There's probably some marketing mumbo jumbo reason. Sad though.
Like how many they could sell. I'm like, no, let me buy all of them. I'll buy
I'm just happy
all
they
of the
finally
things.
ended up having ship models become a thing with this fixed dimension stuff. So that's quite nice. I mean,
right.
Ship models.
That was. Do you know what? That was smart
great.
of them because there's for a while there so many people 3D printing their stuff. So they're like, look at the 3D
let's get
printers.
in on it.
Probably,
Like,
yeah, let's do something.
And they're really interestingly printed because the color's printed directly.
I've been printing my stuff, and I just finished. The other thing that I sent off when I went to the post office was a hand-painted Macarial with the Heart Surge skin.
That's fun. That's very
so
cool.
I used like metallic pink paint, and I would show it, but it's in the process of going to its recipient.
Just saying, Clan Limpkin, Sisters of Eve matching bras and panties. I would buy that.
Oh, hell yes. Hell yes.
Yeah.
Please.
See?
Please, yes.
But yes,
absolutely
Convict merch suitable for lady gamers. I will buy all of it. Thank you.
Yeah, hook us up.
Like in case you're worried about like, getting the money, making the money from it with your profits. No, I'll buy all of it.
Who do you write to get more merch?
Well, do you know what? We want cute shirts. We want V-necks and like fitted shirts so that we don't feel like boxes.
There's like the women's fitted shirt, so there's actually like a shape instead of me feeling like it's.
Oh, that is gorgeous. Mal got
There's the Eve bait.
There
Very
it is.
nice.
I made it, guys.
Woohoo!
Very pretty bit of skybox effect.
It's just so beautiful.
It is very nice.
Like, and then you keep thinking, like, this is where it's going. Like, I'm getting closer. I'm getting closer.
but you cannot.
And
many light years away.
And so a lot of people say that this is the pilgrimage here. I'm gonna shrink it down a bit so you can still see our faces. So actually, I know what I'm gonna do. Ignore me. Just a minute. Listen, hyper focusing. All right.
I'm Twitter attacking. I'm Twitter attacking.
Ha!
There we go.
There, I fixed it, guys. So now you can see it and then our faces.
Nice and zoomed in.
It's not centered.
Listen.
You can just change your Eve camera a tiny bit in that. That's fine. But keep an eye on it though. It's gonna flash a few times. It's like in a startup sequence, and then it doesn't get to finish, and it's just really cool. I don't know. It's a great little bit of skybox.
So like I was saying before, I got like fucking. So yeah, like chicken tendy. I fucking love the name, by the way. So they should make the pilgrimage. So I just made the pilgrimage right now. So like what we were talking about before we started talking about merch and everything. This is like the birthplace of New Eden. The system is named New Eden because this is, and so it's just. It's wonderful. It's great. So look there, it just pulsed. And so a lot of people do take the pilgrimage down and everything to almost, I like to do it as like, this is all our beginnings and everything. The Intaki says, thank you for touching on the Talokan and Sons, thoughts on Talokan and Triggs, especially since they're both reach the same ability to manipulate space-time and blue star power.
Ooh, I would love to get into that now, actually. Yeah. So Triggs, Talokan stuff, super fun. The Talokan made wormhole space able to be what it is, basically. The wording in the Chronicle they talk about that in is a little funny. So some people are like, did they literally create wormhole space? It's like, no, they took space and they made it so they could make wormholes between places where that's not physically possible. So the wormholes in Eve only exist because they reshaped space-time to their own designs, which is an insane feat, really. I mean, like, it's really very, very, it's the furthest thing out there to like really ridiculous sci-fi, but it's to a point. I mean, because they're supposed to really be the pinnacle of what was achieved out in New Eden ever. So back to the leading up to the trigs and everything, I'm gonna go back a little more. You get to, so you have the isogen caches blow up, wormhole space becomes accessible. People begin going in and, just ravaging the sleeper constructs they find there, pillaging them, taking stuff, ripping, actual people out of there, which is what the empires were doing. And it's a funny thing. The Other was in there. They were the first one. The Amar were the first ones to make clone soldiers, which were made by taking sleeper implants out of sleepers and putting them in, new things made as clone soldiers for people. And at first it seems kind of funny because it's like, oh, is the Other trying to kill all the sleepers out here? And it's like, it's really freaky, but but it's not the case also, because what ends up happening with all of it is in these sleeper implants that they're taking from the sleepers to make clone soldiers with are minds of other, not only sleepers, but others also, more like the one in Jamil's head. So basically building an army for itself, that sort of thing.
Now, didn't the Other that was in Jamil's head, didn't they try, obviously with the clone soldiers, didn't the Other try and, make it so that they would control all of those, so that the Other
I think that was the idea. It was never explicitly stated in any way, but the idea was, I'm going to take a bunch of implants that have people on my side and put them in soldiers that are immortal, and if this hits a critical mass, nothing will be able to stop anything. And he did. The Other actually was foiled because of another Jove who helped. Well, let's see.
Yeah, it was the one Jove
leftover
that
memory
went with. Oh shit! I have the book
Marcus
right here.
Jor. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Don't mind me.
So this one guy basically was one of Jamil's kind of acolytes and stuff. He was into science stuff. He helped figure out how the clone soldiers worked in the first place. He helped research the sleeper implants. He was out near the Eve Gate, studying things, trying to figure things out, when a probe comes and rams into his ship, plugs itself into his systems, and basically gives you a huge exposition dump about the entire history of the Jove and everything, and why what the Amar did to the sleepers was kind of fucked. And he tells, this guy, all right, the Other exists and is in Jamil's head, and you have to try to stop its plans. And they get it stopped. They warn the Empress, and she basically gives the order to stop all of this before the Other can kind of wrench control back and try to do its own thing again. So that crisis was averted. And that's the end of the clone soldier thing being, Others, and on that side of that character. Clone soldiers do exist past there, but that's only because of what Jamil did to stop it. They were like, all right, we have to find a way to do this without using the actual implant. So any of the clone soldiers that existed past that point, totally safe.
and it also wasn't just Jamil and also Caldari, Galente, and Mimitar stepping in. It was also Concord. Concord knew about that Amar had this technology and was trying it out. And then
everyone else got their hands on it. And there's this one chronicle, actually, where you have all of the heads of state all together, and Jamil's like, you gotta get rid of these right now. We're already making plans to make reverse engineered ones. You should not use the sleeper implants. And it's just big bad things that happen because of it. And I'm gonna work all this forward because
come on. But sleepers, come on.
So back to the sleepers though. The sleepers, all of the other sapient infomorphs that came up in the VR. A few years later, you start having, so October of 2014 it was, the Sisters of Eve report weird activity by sleeper drones. So strange observations, their behavioral patterns are shifting. And sometime after that, you have the 3 different types of sleeper cache data sites start showing up. And each of these is sleeper infrastructure, old stuff, on the case space side of things. And they were cloaked and hidden. And the ones you find in the game have already actually been pillaged. All of them have been basically cracked open, and whoever broke them open wanted, they took already. So that's what you find. That's the remnants. When you get those, so someone is breaking those open, and then you start having the circadian sleepers start flying around. If you remember those ones, the first ones of the sleeper drones that are related to the drifters, they started showing up. They were roaming around, they were scanning everything, and no one knows what's going on. And then someone one day notices a very, very bright star, and people triangulate it and find out that it's deep in the inaccessible regions of the galactic northeast where the Jove are located. And that star is Caroline's star, as it came to be known, because that's the name of the person who really first pointed it out and made it happen. So that's a cool bit of lore. So what was happening there, though, was back to the Talocan. Yes, they use all this Isogen 5 and stuff to make their things happen and mess with space-time. But a big part of their initial design, before they literally left, there's none of them left, no one knows where they are. They didn't die, certainly, but they're gone. They built a stellar swarm, basically. So you ever heard of a Dyson sphere, which like collect energy from a whole star?
Yes.
And you build like a shell around it? This Dyson swarm is a way more feasible, way more believable version of that, where you just make a big web of, bunches of energy collection structures, just all in orbit of a star, as many as possible. And that's what was around the star that Caroline's star happened at. So when the event happened that opened wormhole space, when all those Isogen caches blew up, like I said, all those stars blew out energy. One star also, there were stargates, or wormhole gates, if you want to call them that the Talocan had also built, all throughout wormhole space. And when these stars blew up, they blasted energy out through them and directed it through those gates back to the other side of the gate, almost all of which were surrounding this one star, Caroline's star. So they all blasted a bunch of energy into it. It had a huge coronal mass ejection happen. A bunch of stuff got damaged. And the very few Jove of the Third Empire who were left were like, all right, this thing's going to explode in a few years. So they got ready for that.
Thank you very much for the follow, Mom Bellicose.
Oh.
Mom Bellicose!
Oh.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, that's a good thing to interrupt for. She's the best.
No one fucks with Mom Bellicose.
Anyhow, what happened with that? The Jove got ready for that thing to blow up. When it did, it knocked out all of the stargates in Jove space and made a lot of stuff happen in wormhole space as well. The system of Thera which already had people from the Sisters of Eve set up there. They had stations there. It was one of the systems affected, and that's why you have some broken Sisters of Eve stations in there. All the other shattered systems you find in wormhole space were all ones that were broken when Caroline's star blew up, because it shot a supernova basically through a bunch of different gates into different stars in wormhole space. All of those had big bad things happen in turn, and that's what happened to them. Dyson swarms are indeed better cyberpunk zombie. I fully agree. And yeah.
Awesome Man 92. I really hope CCP does something with the Joves. That's something. Listen, I want more Drifter invasion in in K-space.
I can answer you both of those. I mean, I can jump on both of those points in that the third Jove Empire certainly is pretty much gone, but there are two major groups in New Eden right now operating still who are pretty much, if you could almost call them, the uncles or aunts of those Jove that we knew. So you have the Drifters and you have the Triglavians, both of whom are very intimately linked to the same empire the Jove came
Uriel
from.
knows more than I do.
Triangles.
Listen, we're gonna have more of these episodes because I'm really fucking loving this shit.
I would love to do more of this. I could talk about this stuff all the time.
Don't worry, it will happen. It will definitely happen.
Uriel, check your Discord, because, we're gonna set something up.
Oh,
Absolutely
yeah, don't
will.
worry.
And I'll actually let you know more ahead of time when I'm not, occasionally
I don't mind
passed
at all.
out and way oversleeping my nap alarm.
So to jump back in on that, or do you want to say something first?
Oh,
yeah,
I'm getting the fuck out of here.
Oh, run. Oh, it's just NPCs. You'll be okay.
Yeah, it's just NPCs. I'm like, okay. So, just what Zazola was like, I had no idea this kind of lore was an Eve. That's a lot of people think that just Eve.
That's a lot of the problem right now.
Exactly.
Because when I started playing Eve, when I first discovered Eve Online, I saw an ad on a YouTube video, off to the side of a YouTube video, and I was like, wow, that ship looks kind of cool. I actually clicked an ad. That's probably one of the only times I've done that. And I find the website, and it just gives this, little intro. I see, wow, all this looks very cool. And then on the top, I see backstory. It was community and then backstory. And I find the lore. And in the course of a few days, I go and read every chronicle that was published online at that time. And that is a bit of the experience that is entirely missing right now. So the old fiction portal is neat. The new fiction portal is very much a work in progress still, while it does have a lot of things. But the biggest issue is that there is no link to the website that has all of Eve's lore anywhere on the official website or in the game or anywhere.
I love
the only way
Hear that,
people the only way
CCP?
people find it is if other people tell them about it. And I find that profoundly sad, because that's such a deep and very long written and very vital part of the game, really.
And
I mean, it's not like necessarily something that comes up every time you play. It doesn't even necessarily matter.
Convict's going, I'm listening. listening.
So listen,
But the thing with lore in a video game in general, world building is what sets a game, in my mind, apart from other games that are similar. I mean, of course, no game is quite like Eve, which is
that's why I
pretty much why it's
stayed
around
in
still.
It was the entire Intaki Inquest in the 2017, which then led me to Sixth Empire, which is a role-playing group, and like, I have more fun just logging in as Pandora and shit-talking at locals, because you don't talk to Pandora, you filthy scum, and doing, like, role-play events with her than, like, actually flying and shooting stuff. But
we're doing free marketing for CCP, like a
We are.
focus.
Yeah,
we're doing
we are.
focus groups right now.
If I can jump in soapbox for like 10 more seconds about this, this is one big thing.
You've got 4 more
CCP,
minutes, and then we
all
have
right.
to end.
Oh, we do? Damn. All right. So CCP seems to market Eve a lot using the enormous giant battles that happen. And while those are, I think, some of the coolest things that exist in games, they don't happen often. And when they do, it doesn't, I mean, look at the lag fests they become. They're extremely fun and impactful and big, but they're not exactly what people expect when they read about it the first time, maybe,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you have different things about Eve that you throw out there to players to let them get attached to the game in the first place with, and maybe eventually make it to those things, I mean, you have to have a hook for them, When you start Eve, it's difficult. I mean, the new tutorials and stuff, everything's much better than it used to be. But story, to me, and to a lot of other people I've talked about, has always been one of the really good ways that a game can get people attached to it. Just like wanting to know more about it is just like a sense of wonder. It's like, what is this connected to, and how deep does this go? And, oh, that looks cool. Where can I go down that and figure out more about it? And when that exists for a game, it sticks in someone's head a lot better than if it's just a game where, oh, I pressed a button, I shot a few things. Cool.
I pressed F1.
So
I pressed F1.
It's just you have to have a breadth of experience, not just one thing to advertise for it. And I just really wish they would link the fiction stuff on the official website. That's just my biggest...
So to all the people that are saying I wish there was more lore and everything, once again, you can get these books and all that. Obviously, me, I need to fucking render.
Nolan has given me a fantastic idea for you, Uriel, and us, and again, Discord, we need to talk.
I would like to do that.
And so like, and also Uriel, you did post a couple links earlier. Go ahead, post them again. The Intaki, you posted links. Guys, post these links because they had there's so much information. There's so much, like the whole thing about that, and I Shall Hide, the alternate chronicle. I'm gonna be fucking reading that tonight.
It's a good one.
I was gonna do Guardian sites, but no, I'm gonna be reading this shit. And so like this is some of the most amazing stuff that I love. Like, it's what mainly kept me and don't get me wrong, like someone said about the personal aspect of what we do is lore, but then I like the other stuff that was already there in game and everything. It's absolutely amazing. It's wonderful. So guys, go ahead, post those links to all the lore and everything that you want, because like seriously, it's awesome that you guys do that. That stuff is out there, and I think like the lore needs to come back alive again. I really don't want to cut the show off, but like we normally go for about an hour and a half or so, sometimes more.
And here we are.
But...
we do dance party.
We will do a dance party. Just let me dock up, please.
Red line's like, so don't. Just
Okay,
keep going.
listen, I don't mind going, but it's the other
Uriel.
two hosts that are here.
Yes.
Uriel.
Also, I didn't eat dinner yet, and I'm hungry.
Yeah, Dylana, like, she needs to sleep. and just all that.
Well, if Delana needs to shoot out and you want to stay, like
I'd love to just stay.
I
can just talk about lore stuff. There were some people who had some
questions. Do I have to
questions,
go back
and I'd love
to the
jump in on it.
again?
Sit here and eat my crawfish etouffee.
Do I have to go back to the Eve?
No, you can wander around other places. I mean, you're in Amar right now, aren't you? You can go check out that the beacon where you have all those beautiful, Amar ships all lined up and have that as the background.
Where the fuck is that?
Go to the not just those avatars. There should be the coronation thing or something. It's a landmark.
Go to Safazon and go look at Jamal's Titan.
Oh, the Titan. It's very sad.
Where?
Yeah.
Safazon.
How do you spell that?
Safizon.
Yeah.
It's only a few systems away. So okay.
Who's got Jamal's corpse?
No one actually knows. I am very interested in finding it at some point, because that's a very vital So remember what I talked about with that ship getting blown up that had like an important item in it, like it would have been neat for lore stuff. That corpse, if someone was to get it and kind of role play things properly around it, a lot of things could come to light, like the entire existence of that thing entirely, all of those like AIs and stuff.
There are rumors, of course. Ask Kriba, says the Antaki.
I have people I'd like to ask. Actually, I meant to shoot Kriba an email, so I might do that. But basically, those things aren't known at all in character. No person living in the world of Eve would know about any of those.
I was there when that whole battle was going on because I thought it was super cool.
2015, August 2015. That was it.
And I'm positive that, like, because I was going for the wreck too. Like, I'm not gonna lie, I was going for the corpse. I wanted it, and then it was gone. Like, somebody did
take it. Magic, yeah.
And it's probably somebody that just like completely forgot about it and hasn't played in years or something.
Or it was CCP.
Deeply hope that isn't the case. I really hope a player has it.
Much.
Impossible to put a specific number on something like that. Really, it's just the sum of whatever the people who would be interested in it would be willing to put together. Easily tens of billions. I mean, that'd be very easily, much more probably. But
I think if they had a bidding war, unfortunately, it would turn into a space pissing contest of who's got the most.
I wouldn't enjoy that. That would end up. It would just be the same situation where you'd have one person who just wants it to sit in a hangar forever, not do anything with it.
Okay, where in Safazon is the shit?
Oh, Safazon. So if you just go to the Amar Navy Station, you'll just have Jamil's Titan wreck near that. You'll see that. That's where that happened. All right. So to jump back in a little bit of the lore stuff, I'll just get through some stuff about the Drifters and then the Triglavians a bit, because this stuff is very fun. The other, all those AIs in the Sleeper VR, the other in Jamil's head, having its own plans, having all this happen. I went through things where, the leading up to Caroline's Star, you had those sleeper drones start appearing. And then you had these giant structures that were cloaked, starting to decloak after Caroline's Star happened. And these things were big observatories that the Third Jove Empire had set up just to listen in on things and just collect records and stuff, as we found out when they decloaked. When they decloaked, because they had all lost power because Jove space got messed up when Caroline's Star blew up, the Drifters showed up for the first time, and they just started picking apart these things for resources, grabbing things. They don't talk to anybody. They don't want to talk to anybody. And, they do their thing for a while. Eventually, in August, again, of 2015, they attack Safazon with the Amar. They come in, and when Empress Jamil comes in, they kill her. They actually kill her and pod her and warp away, because that was the only thing they wanted to do that day. But there's more to it than just them wanting to get rid of her, because some people at that time were like, oh, what if they're the ones who were in charge of the VR, actually leaving the VR and coming to kill her for that? And it's on the surface, that seems like it's what it was, but then you dig into a bit more to what the Drifters have done, and you're like, oh, okay, something else is going on here. So the Drifters also, we've seen before, they potted someone and intercepted their infomorph, so the clone transfer. They took it. This guy named Hilan Tukos, who was in charge of all this old Erect Jalon stuff in character. He was a CCP dev actor. that character was behind a lot of stuff there. He found the drifters before anyone else did, and they killed him and took his mind. His body was left behind, but they were able to intercept a clone transfer, which is exactly what happened back in 2003, when Jamil died the first time, and the other was able to intercept her clone transfer and get into that with her. And then the drifters come into Safazan, blow up the Empress, and pod her, and then immediately fly away. They didn't do anything else. And the drifters, actually, funny thing, if you look at their faction, the only corporation in it is named Vigilant Tyrannos, which basically, if you can kind of translate it as, watchful tyrants.
So,
and the drifters have named themselves after the group that was in charge of the Second Jove Empire, the ones who chased the sleepers away in the first place.
Yeah.
Because they want to be real. That's the idea. The drifters they're real. They've left the VR. They are a Jove Empire. At least they're taking up that mantle and wanting to do that. No one knows exactly what they are, but combining everything we know and also stuff with the Trigs, the best guess is that they are the others. And the one that was in Jamil's head, I personally like to hope would actually have been the one in charge of all of it, which is neat, because you also then, with the drifters themselves, I love them as a faction, honestly. For a group that literally says nothing, they have me so interested in them, and they always have. They're just a wonderful aesthetic. I love the way they look. All their stuff looks. And all their stuff is very ancient Greek themed. So you have, like I said, the drifter faction. You have that corporation, the Vigilant Tyrannos. In quotes, CEO, because it's not really a CEO. It's just sort of the one in charge. The one there is called Tyrannos Strategos. And the Strategoi, back in, I think it's just a number of different ancient Greek city states, that sort of thing. The armies for places, Athens in particular, I think. The Strategoi were the basically top generals of these different armies and stuff like that. And for years, it's all right, the Tyrannos Strategos, that's the one in charge, whatever. Go from there, flash forward a few years to now with Trig Space. So Tyrannos Strategos, it's the name Tyrannos and then Strategos. Every other drifter you have is a name and then Tyrannos. So Tyrannos Strategos is the only one that had that title. A few years earlier, you had an event where it's again one of these cool events that's just limited time stuff where you fly around and do sites. One of those had one that was called Tyrannos Polemos. This one actually was after Jamil was killed as well. And that's the only other one at that time that had Tyrannos and then the name. And Polemos was, interesting. People are like, why does that have the same name format as the head of the drifters? And it's all right, whatever. Nothing ever came of it. Never know. But then Poshvin opens up in the end of last year. And that drifter shows up again. And this time, so you have Tyrannos Polemos and another drifter with that same name type, Tyrannos Navarcos. And each of them is flying the specific highest, each of those flies the highest tier battleship and cruiser for the drifters, respectively, that you can run into in Trig Space. The Navarcos flies the Tyrannos Navarcos cruiser, aptly named, but the Tyrannos Polemos flies the Tyrannos Polemarcos battleship, which is very, very interesting.
It's different from the typical drifter ship that you would see in a wormhole.
Well, no, it looks the same, but the name is the important part. So Tyrannos Strategos, Tyrannos Navarcos, and Tyrannos Polemos. The Strategos, if we're going I'm just talking about real life history now. So let me nerd out about it a bit. So the Strategos, before the Strategoi were in charge, and I think it was Athens, because it was just a council of generals kind of thing. The Strategos, all of them. Before they were the ones that were really on the top, there was the Polemarcos, which is really the supreme commander. That's what you want to call it. Basically, it was the one in charge of everything. And even when the Strategos became the ruling group, or the ones in charge of the military, the Polemarcos took the role of sort of a tiebreaker for things if decisions needed to be made. And Navarcos is also literally just an admiral. So you have, admiral, so a tyrant, tyrant admiral, tyrant general, and then you have, supreme commander. So the Polemarcos, Tyrannos Polemos, some people think, all right, maybe this one is really the one on the top of everything here with the drifters, and it's flying around Trig Space shooting things. And my personal hope, and I love making up theories and stuff. Now I'm just going to say stuff that isn't confirmed or known or anything, but I like to think that the other that was in Jamil's head was and is in fact the one in charge of all the drifters. And when they got it back,
I think so either.
Yeah.
I think so too, because like just once again, I'm only going off of like Templar 1 and everything. Just how they did that, of just like just how they played it, because he
look at all my bookmarks.
Because he
Those
did
bookmarks?
Yeah.
Sasha wants my dinner.
Wait, is that
Everything's
just
in
for
your mouth.
Templar 1 alone?
You can't have.
Yeah, no, I'm trying to
my
find a
God.
specific quote while you talk about what you were saying.
Yeah,
I'd like to hear
it's
it.
because like how they were. Thank you very much for the subscription and all the follow guys earlier tonight, by the way. And so just with the other of just how it was written, of like how the other was kind of leading, like the writer was leading it up to with the other, like Uriel said, taking over or controlling all the other sleepers. And then they knew of all the Arathmos, the drifters, and then it's almost like they wanted to take them out for the drifters pushing them, be like, fuck off, guys.
So the thing with all that, yeah, like the other came through, did its thing. The others in the Sleeper VR wanted to get out of the fake world and come to the real one.
Mm-hmm.
And that doesn't mean they don't want the Sleepers to also come with them. So I think the Drifters as a faction are a combination of the others and Sleepers who wanted to leave the VR. And now they've taken up the name of the very real group in charge of the previous Drove Empire, the
Now,
Tyrants. And that's all that.
I have a question about the sleepers. So obviously the sleepers,
Yes.
they are in sleeping in the VR. Is there any way for them to get out of the VR and everything?
Oh yeah,
And
no,
then-
absolutely. So,
So
that's
obviously
pretty much a
they're in
major thing of
Jay's
it all.
phase.
They're all
They're-
sleeping in that VR, everything.
Yeah.
They don't know they're in it. And basically one of the main like tenets of the VR world that the previous admins had put in place was in order to be in the VR, you have to have a body to return to on the outside. So it's like a lot of stuff that just piled up over time. And well, basically, I mean, the drifters have to build bodies.
Yes.
Their bodies are made from other bodies. They take that, shove a bunch of implants in them, and inhabit them. And it's like, why would they have to do that? Why not just use drones and stuff like the sleepers already do? It just feeds even more into the aspect of wanting to literally be real again, like be living people as much as they can be.
So Chicken Tendy, I want to say they actually described it pretty well in Templar 1 about what the VR did look like and everything.
It's just very perfect, basically.
Yeah, it was like
paradise.
the ultimate utopia and everything, that there was no crime, there was nothing like that. It's almost like some of the shows that you see about Upload, like on the Upload show, like it's all a big utopia.
I freaking love that series. I
I
can't wait for
haven't seen
season
it.
2.
I get some like Matrix vibes from this.
It's the Sleeper VR is very much like the Matrix. Actually, though, the whole philosophy of really what the Sleepers are, the guy who wrote Eve's Prime lore at the time, CCP Drop Bear, Nick Blood, he actually wrote an article, not related to being at CCP or anything, back in August 2019, about virtualization and sustainability, or so says the title. And he really delves into a sort of philosophical question posed toward where will we go in the future that really just informs everything that the Sleepers really are and what they were built as in Eve's lore. And I'm actually linking that right now. And it is a
Perfect.
great little read, and you get a great bit of insight into sort of what are the Sleepers supposed to be,
I posted
not like
that
every little
in the
not any
lore
details of like
channel.
their past or anything, but just why they are the way they are and what they're doing there and what they were doing. But then the VR started falling apart over time because it's been thousands of years that it was left on its own and unable to handle itself anymore. And all the AIs are like, we want to get out, and they fight off the people in charge because they're gone. And then we have the drifters at some point who come out of the VR and they're like, we're real now and we're gonna do our thing. And they don't like anyone else. They're very prideful. They don't talk to anyone.
Ian Talkie posted, Sarum inhaled sharply, straightened up, then exhaled slowly through her nose. A most trusted advisor relayed his first-hand experience of sleeper consciousness to me. It is, and at this her gaze grew distant, the most rapturous thing I have ever experienced, and at the time the most horrible, We are literally rendering the fabric of their self-constructed universe into pieces.
Yep, that's what breaking the sleepers out of their thing does also, yeah. Breaking the VR also.
So a good analogy would be like in Warhammer 40K of how they have those people that see like the chaos space or whatever. They're literally seeing like hell and everything.
Well, the VR is really was paradise. That's the thing. And it's breaking down, and then the others the other basically in making its army of clone soldiers and stuff. It's like it doesn't want the VR to be a thing anymore. Anyhow, it wants to break it. It wants to take everyone out of there and have them all be in the real world. It hates the fake world, basically. That's its whole thing. Like since it was born, it knew it was fake, and it was like it wants to get out. That's what it did. That's when it went to Jamil, did all that. So to actually talk about the Trigs now, though. If I can jump to them now, because this stuff there's a lot of weird old connections. So Eve's lore has been written by a lot of different authors over the game was in development, 1997 and 98 even was when the earliest stages of things were being written and talked about and all.
Nice time.
That's like 25 years worth of things being written. A lot of different authors have come in and written their own bits and interpreted it and connected things their own way. It's a big mess of lore, but even if it's not specifically written in some perfect way, there are ways it all fits together enough that it's all right. If CCP wanted to do this, they could make a very coherent story with it. And some of the stuff that I've delved deep into with that connects the Triglavians way back to what I would like to hope, as this at least, would be the group that was originally in charge of the Sleeper VR, that Anteovnuecci group. The thing about that is the Triglavians, alright. The Tyrants, old Second Jove Empire, chased the Sleepers out of New Eden, like I said earlier. They chased out the people in charge, too, because they disappeared as well. The Triglavians lived in the Abyss, as, we call it, Abyssal Dead Space and all that. Hidden away and disconnected from New Eden and everything. Happy to stay there and have their own little proving and weird, very changing civilization going on their own. Until the Drifters chase in there and come after them. And the Triglavians, upon seeing the Drifters, or at least upon seeing their titles, the Tyrants, they refer to that as ancient enemy. So, seeing the Tyrants. And later they realize, oh, this isn't actually the Tyrants, this is something else, using their name, basically. There's a lot of stuff that I can run through with it. But it works very well, and it would really help to cohere a lot of things if the Trigs were those people who were in charge of the VR. Mm-hmm. Basically, and also if you read that short story Theodicy, which is also written by the same guy who wrote Templar 1 and Empyrean Age, the Anteovnuecci in that, which obviously back then the guy had a really grand idea of what he wanted for Eve's Prime Canon. But in that, the Anteovnuecci really liked the Minmatar. They were like, these guys are the closest to approaching the same sort of type of civilization and what we've achieved with, and the Minmatar are obviously collection of tribes, each independent, working together as one when they need to, which is exactly what the Triglavians are.
Which one thing that I loved about in Templar 1 is that they were focusing a little bit on the Minmatar. It's at the time where in the lore where the Minmatar navy wasn't really that strong. That's what all of New Eden thought. It's like, the Amarians killed the Minmatar. It was decently after when they started the Minmatar race away from being slaves of the Amarians, and then this one Diplo or senator or something like that.
Yun. Yeah,
yes, thank you. Guy. Him. He was oh my god, this shit is happening with the Amarians, and so he was bringing it up with the hired people of Minmatar. And then so he gets brought out to this one pocket of dead space in Minmatar space where no one fucking goes. And then he's like, the fuck is going on? And then they were talking about how great and amazing and strong that the Minmatar people are. And then they're like, we're gonna fight. And then he's like, the fuck you talking about? And then on the station that they're in, he looks out and then he sees super carriers, faxes, a whole armada hidden in dead space, And then it just shows how amazing the Mimitar. Like, you have I'm gonna go off on a little splurg right here. So you know how a lot of people say like Amar's the best, whatever, blah blah blah. Here's the thing: I used to think the Amar was dope. Like I'm like, yeah, cool, they have awesome ships and everything. But after reading some of the lore, I fucking hate the Amarians so much. I tried to
an
refuse
objective
to fly
level,
an Amarian
they've been
ship as much as possible because of the shit that they have done in the lore. And like, y'all are gonna be like, yo, this bitch Mal, she's fucking like, nah, listen, read the fucking books and you'll understand of like how horrible the Amarians are. Caldari, they're all right. But
Caldari is about as America as you can get, honestly, which is funny. People
it's
always call the
true.
Galente that, but the Caldari really are
no,
much closer.
Galente are more chill, relaxed business, and Caldarians are more
it's
military.
mega corporations that
yes
run everything. So,
and just reading about what the Mimitar have gone through and seeing what they have built from is absolutely amazing. Excuse me, absolutely amazing. And so
Mal's tearing up over this. This is so great.
I'm not tearing up. I actually had to burp. Here Maximus saying Caldari is more China. I want to say it's a mix of China and America.
The Caldari are Finnish and Japanese inspired originally. That was the sort of theming that went into them. A combination of those two cultures was the idea behind them, basically.
Okay, now tell me the rest of them, because now I'm interested. So what was Galente and Mimitar?
Galente is very French.
Very French, but business focused as well. They're
think it's
not
like
too
French
snotty,
and American.
but
think of it as
snotty.
very freedom, like
yes,
freedom, personal freedom.
Yes,
you can do whatever you want. You can bioengineer yourself to have cat ears. Like, go for it. It's like that's an actual thing Galente do. There's a lot of body modification that happens there. Very personal freedom. Yeah. And then the Caldari, like I said, Finnish, Japanese. The Minmatar, there's a lot of different things built into there. I mean, you have like
I want to say a lot
Norse
more indigenous
stuff like Maori. You have like all sorts of different little things built into
all
there.
the tribal aspects. So like the indigenous people of North America, and then like the Polynesians and everything like that. Like that
all
type
over
of
the world,
tribal
actually,
mentality,
yeah.
like all throughout the world. It's amazing, and so like that's why in Rust we trust yo. Don't get me wrong.
Of the four main factions, the Minmatar are I admire them the most as a group. I like them. Yeah.
Yeah, they are the best. I want to keep talking about this, but like it's starting to get late.
It's
and everything.
fine.
Don't worry, guys. We do plan to have more. Trust me.
So I'm gonna put this out here right now. Special announcement. You have heard it right here, right now on Lasers and Lace, hosted by New Eden's Post, that Mr. Uriel and I have been having some behind-the-scenes conversations.
While this has been going on.
While this has been going on, and he has graciously agreed that we are going to now do Eve lore segments on Lasers and Lace. We're thinking every 6 weeks. We might do it every sooner. And we're gonna.
Sooner's probably fine. I mean, I'm down to talk about this.
Let's do this. Let's do this.
It doesn't have to be like all four people. It could literally just be Uriel talking.
So what we're thinking is we're gonna pick pieces of the lore so that we could focus in on it, so it's not kind of all over the place. But we're going to make this a thing on top of my grand scheme of, CCP are people too. And so you're going to get CCP are people too. You're going to get Eve lore. You're going to get Delana. You're going to get Maul. It's going to be like love.
Redline Uriel should have his own show.
I always think that I want to stream and stuff, but then
it's
like I have like weird irrational fears about it. Like, first I got to get the content out there, but then it's like, if I'm streaming, what if people like, I don't know, like swat me or something and like send cops here and kill my dog, and like it's irrational fears, but like
that's why I have the same thing. And then like doing a show with other people, it helps you, keep going. Like there's so many times when I used to stream solo that I was just like, oh, I don't feel like streaming today. I'm just gonna push it off to next week.
That's me currently.
Yeah, but it's like when you have other people that like we're working together as a team, and you gotta be there.
And if you're not feeling well, you can tag team out and be like, hey guys, like I feel like
yeah, so there's like
and then
that.
we'll
So
just
at least
move it a week and
Uriel,
everything.
come join us.
Yeah.
Be a lasers and lace.
Despite
I would
Lasers
very
and
much
Laces
like to do a bunch of that.
primarily a woman-only
Cool.
show, we're gonna have an honorary guest every 6 weeks talking about this because I fucking love this. I love this shit so
I mean,
much. You have no idea.
Uriel is basically like prettier than me, so like
Prettier than all of us. Let's be real.
Don't say that. I love you all. Come on. You're all gorgeous.
Yeah, no. So we're gonna start wrapping it up.